one and all to the K.O.E. Nation, folks, for a very special wine, beer, and spirits Maker's Mark store pick review. I am your King of Extreme, Phil K.O.E., the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man that makes the other podcast hour, the prince and potentate of the political parlance, the lord of the Scottish Highlands, and one damn handsome man if I do say so myself. And I am joined this evening by my indomitable broadcast partner, the one, the only,
your 15-time Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion, Tony fucking G. You can find me at all of the socials at Linktree/Tony the Rod.
Yep, right. Also, you can find all that at Linktree/K.O.E. Nation, just right under Tony G. It's sweet. I try to be very convenient about this. And speaking of convenient, Tony, something that I think we're going to both enjoy a whole lot was conveniently placed within an hour and a half's drive of us. I know to most people that doesn't sound very convenient, but to us here in Nebraska, that is basically DoorDash, okay? Like that is utterly convenient. We have the Wine, Beer, and Spirits 2023 Baked Marshmallow. Just the name alone. So we've got 2 Baked American Pure, 1 Seared French Cuvée, 1 Maker's 46. I'm interested. 5 Roasted French Mendiet. Unfortunately, no frosted this time, T. That's unfortunate. 1 Toasted French Spice with a proof of 108.2, 54.1 alcohol by volume. So this, to me, that's enough proof to have some kick, but it's also not so overproof that you can't get, like, there's a lot of flavor potential here. So, Tony, before we get the cork openings, is there anything you'd like to say to the people?
I love everything about the Maker's Mark Private Selection Series. Haven't had a bad one yet. And it's so nice that all the wine, beer, spirits picks are always just such a delight. And they've really never let us down. I mean, really never.
I'm trying to think, like,
never.
The Stellum Rye pick, was that wine, beer,
I
spirits?
knew you were going to mention it.
No, was that wall to wall? I think that one was actually wall to
wall.
Okay, that one, okay, I'm going to say this. It wasn't a bad pick. It just was much more to your palate preference than it was to mine. Okay? I think that's...
After the neck pour, it got a lot more delightful. I'll tell you that.
All right. Well, let's see. I'm about to... Bad? And I am repping out of the Nebraska Bourbon Society Facebook group, Glass, because everyone there loves me universally, and it's basically, you could basically call the Nebraska Bourbon Society the Phil K.O.E. fan group. It's basically a Phil K.O.E. fan page for everything. So I figured I'd rep out of the Glass here.
Shit.
Tony, are you implying that your King of Extreme, the most handsome man in the existence of all humanity, would tell even the slightest fib?
Yes.
I don't even know what to say to you, sir. So let's take this to the nose. Very muted sugars. Okay, like it's not as. Okay, the more into it you get the toasted.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of toasted, but yeah, more like a toasted marshmallow, like a burnt sugar.
Because remember the cherry on top? This also has 5 roasted French Mendiet in it. Okay. So I kept that right next to me just in case. And also Midnight Cream, I believe, also has 5 roasted French Mendiet in it. So
well, that's just terrible.
Yeah, I know. Actually, let me double check.
This is delightful on the nose. It's pretty potent on the nose. I'm getting a lot of tinglies in my nose, which I do enjoy. Oh, this is delightful. It smells beautiful. I've never known a bad Maker's Mark store pick to be offensive to the nose. Oh, yeah. God, Phil, get back here. I want to drink this.
Okay. I got the other hy-vee here. I've got Midnight Cream, which I was wrong on that. It has 6 makers 46, 2 roasted French Mendiat. You know, that frosted needed to make a comeback at some point. But this one, Little Sister, 5 makers 46, 5 roasted French Mendiat, and that's it. And so that's where we kind of get our love of 5 roasted French Mendiat.
The more I'm smelling,
like, to me, it's just sugar and toast.
Yeah,
sugar and toasted oak. Well, Tony, we've been putting off trying this for a while.
Indeed.
Cheers, sir.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I get where they say baked marshmallow, but I'm going to add a drizzle of toffee. Which is very delightful to me. This is...
That is just delicious. That's sweet all the way
Now, here's
through.
a weird thing. Go back to the nose and see if you don't get more of that toasted marshmallow now that it's been on the palate.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely enhanced now.
And I have a feeling, especially once this gets to settle past the shoulder for a little bit, that's going to be a lot more forward, because I suspect the toffee is going to kind of disappear, and it's going to give way to what's here. But goodness gracious.
Oh, that's remarkable. Wow. Yeah, I'm
getting cream.
I was going to say, there's a consistency there that's a lot thicker on the palate than
what we're used to here.
Yeah, I'm
goodness.
Oh,
this is
it's just a cascade on the palate.
Yeah, this is delightful.
Wow, that's excellent.
Yes,
it's not heavy.
It
it's not heavy on the oak, but there's enough of an oak back there that you really know you're drinking a nice high proof bourbon. But man, that sweet forward front and middle. Man, even though this is a high proof, the people who don't like high proof might even be able to drink this. It's just so
this does sweet. Like this drinks like a 93.
Yeah,
just don't drink like no 108. Okay, this is.
I can't put it down
for 108.2. Like, I'm kind of shocked at how easy the ethanol is not offensive to the palate. There's a bit of a burn. There's a bite. It's the thing. Like, it would still.
It's more like a nibble. It's a nibble. Well, it's not a full-on bite. It's not leaving teeth marks.
The Old West definition of whiskey: brown liquid with a bite. So that. Yeah, God only knows what they were drinking back in those days. But that was how they defined what whiskey was. So this would fit that. But yeah, it doesn't bite hard. It, like you said, a nibble. But golly.
Oh, wow. I'm loving this. Dangerous.
There's another earthy
Dangerous
flavor in there that I can't get. I can't quite pick up what it is. It's one of the dark sweets. It's not dark chocolate. It's not quite top, but you know what you get kind of where my brain is going there. Like if tiramisu took out quite a bit of the coffee and added just a tiny bit more chocolate and marshmallow. Okay. Like that would be like, I know that's a really weird and specific way, but like that. So we're saying toffee, tiramisu, baked marshmallow. You know, Tony, this stuff is just golly.
That's
yeah, this is. Might have to consider putting this in a tournament in the future, T. Like that's because wine, beer, and spirits never disappoints. They've won the bourbon tournament with their picks 2 years, not in a row. The first year was Wine, Beer, and Spirits Woodford Reserve Double Oak, the 2020 release, which 2021 release was good, but 2020 was amazing. Also, the 1792 Wine, Beer, and Spirits Full Proof that just won this year's bourbon tournament. So these folks certainly know what they're doing when it comes to putting together a good store pick, and I am glad that I got my hands on this. But Tony, now we get to the very interesting part here.
All
and
right,
that is the grading. For those who don't know, we grade on a 5-star scale. 5 meaning you have to have it before you shuffle off this mortal coil. 0 meaning pass it on by. The K.O.E Nation has advised you well. Now, Tony, we're going to add a metric here because we are now experienced enough in it. We're going to grade this as a Maker's Mark Private Select release. Because we've had enough to the point where we can start to give some intelligent grades here. Granted, we haven't found any we don't like, but we have found some that we like way more than others. That's a fair statement. We're going to grade this as a bourbon, as a whiskey, as a cask-aged spirit, because it's kind of all in the casking. It's shelving, and for those new to the show, the secret 6th question. So, Tony, as a Maker's Mark Private Select release on a 5-star scale, where would you drop this bad boy here?
I'm gonna be a little reserved and only give it 4.5.
I'm gonna agree because it's good stuff, but we've had some stuff that's comparable or better in different ways. But I will say, Tony, if you were ever going to make a master blend of Maker's Mark Private Selects, this would have to be a base. Like this would have to be like a 20% or like a 15%. That's like a good healthy chunk of it. So, 4.5. Now, as a bourbon, I'll go ahead. This one, well, I love it. When you think bourbon, you definitely think toasted marshmallows, toffee, and tiramisu, right?
Not necessarily.
So that's going to give it a little bit of a knock, but not much where I'm going to give it 4 stars.
As a bourbon, I'm going to go 3.75 because, it's not going to be your prototypical bourbon drinker's favorite thing unless they're a big fan of sweet. And not all bourbon drinkers are. They expect some vanilla and some caramel and maybe a little more oak.
The vanilla is where you're getting the marshmallow.
Yeah.
Like whatever was supposed to be vanilla is all marshmallow here, which Tony, you and I, golly, we just, we practically have a protest whenever bourbons taste like marshmallow.
Terrible. Yeah. Can't stand it.
To me, I actually think
I'd drink some more.
That's one of those bourbon flavors that if you can really unlock it is that toasted marshmallow. Everybody kind of has to give you a look. That's my take on that. So, all right. Now we move on to whiskey. There's a lot more broader, wide world of sports here, but I think this swings against most worldwide whiskeys.
Fair. That's why I'm going to give it a 4.25 because as a base of you could use this to cocktail, though I wouldn't. This would go marvelous with like anything cream soda based or a Dr. Pepper cream or just a root beer in general because that marshmallow super sweet vanilla flavor. Oh golly. This would be dangerously good as a cocktail.
Sioux City Sarsaparilla.
Yeah.
Like you get yourself a Sioux City Sarsaparilla, put it on a large ice cube, I'm going to say 1 part whiskey, 3 parts sarsaparilla. That'll be probably one of the better drinks you've had in a long time, folks. So I've done that one a couple of times with a few different bourbons and specifically Maker's Mark Private Select, and it always turns out nice. But as a whiskey, I'm going to be a little less generous than you because I wouldn't cocktail this with a Dr. Pepper. I wouldn't cocktail this with a Barks Root Beer. I wouldn't cocktail this with any soda that has a heavy bite. I would like a cream soda, something with a little bit more subtle carbonation, something with a little more subtle bite. So because of that, I'm going to go 375 as a whiskey because you can do a lot with it. And if you're just drinking it plain, oh, you're having a good night. But you're limited, like, yeah, you could mix it with Coke and stuff, but everything mixes with Coke. So that's not a measure. So, all right. Now, we move on to cask-aged spirit. So, Tony, in terms of cask aging, where do you grade this one, sir?
I think in terms of cask aging, they really just masterfully hid 108.2 proof behind, like you said, something that drinks closer to a mid-90s proof. This is super sweet, super drinkable, and this is all in the stave profile and the casking, so I'm going to go 4.75.
I'm not going to be quite that generous and give it 4.25, but I think, like Tony, we are giving this particular maker some very high praise here.
Yeah.
Like, this is because it's not too overbearing. Like, don't get me wrong, I love George T. Stagg. It's like, even like Shane kind of showed us, for some it can be a little overbearing to the palate because excuse me, yeah, it can be a little overbearing to the palate because that mouth flavor lingers for days practically. So this stays the appropriate amount of time, and I like that. As you can also tell, folks, it's making my mouth water a lot.
Yes.
Okay, like it's, yeah, this is delicious, which you don't normally say with whiskey. Because Tony, how many times when you and I have reviewed a whiskey have I had to do my best to no sell the whiskey? Well, I'm like, oh God, what is this? Like, how many, like, percentage wise, what would you say how many times I try to no sell the whiskey?
35%.
That's fair. That's actually fair. Where it's like, this is really enjoyable. I like this. Yeah, this one just
Bluestone Manor. Castle
That's
and
not
Key.
okay.
Not to name names.
Tony, in its defense, Castle and Key is a whiskey.
It technically is.
It is a whiskey, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
Think I made my point there? Eloquent.
You sure did.
Now, moving right along to the next particular question here, the shelving. Tony, would you put this on your top, your middle, or your bottom shelf? I think it's fair to say the middle or the bottom shelf is not even in consideration. Wow, Tony's putting a bourbon on his top shelf. That's impressive. Considering, like, you have Tony's got his own filing system. You're not going to talk him out of it, but it's eventually going. Yeah, eventually it's going there. Yep. But yeah, this one, is all my Maker's Marks sit on my middle shelf, so it's this lovely red wax column. But this one I'm probably going to put on my top shelf because this will be considered for the Splendor bracket of the 2024 Bourbon Tournament. I've already got a couple of contenders already put together for that one, but we will see, folks. We will see. So now we move on to the secret sixth question. When this bottle runs empty, will I seek another one? Now, Tony, if I recall correctly, this bottle costs somewhere between $70 and $80 USD, correct?
Yeah, it was right around 70-ish.
I would say this is one of those private selects. We probably need to get another one of them. Whether I buy it, you buy it, or between the two of us, we throw down on one. We probably need to get one more in case it ends up winning next year's tournament. So we have one on file for a bracket idea I have for 2025's bourbon tournament of the winners bracket. So this one could potentially do a lot. And Tony, if it doesn't win, that just means that you and I have another bottle of Maker's Mark baked marshmallow that we're gonna have to find something to do with. I don't know what. So
Drink it, I suppose.
What?
I know.
And not review it?
We just
Tony,
did.
I taught you better than that.
We just did.
True. But I mean, we reviewed it, but drinking whiskey without reviewing it? How do you even do that?
It's easier than you think, Phil.
For me, it might almost kill me.
True.
So, folks, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, wine, beer, and spirits, you've done it again. Well done to all of you who made this pick possible, and everybody at Wine, Beer, and Spirits. Thank you again for, I always say the allocated bottles, sure, they're nice. Sure, they're fun. But if you find a place that has store picks that match your palate preference, like the 2023 Wine, Beer, and Spirits picks to do, or the 2022 hy-vee picks did, I hear the guy who does that pick actually moved on to a new place in Omaha. So we'll have to do some research on that because, but if you can find a place that has something close to your palate preference, you're actually going to enjoy that whiskey more than you will in allocated bottle. Like in all but like 3 or 4, maybe 5 instances. Okay, like Blanton's is nice, but there's some very good store picks, and if they match your palate preference, you're going to enjoy it far more. And this is another instance of that. Like, to me, Wine, Beer, and Spirits puts a lot of time and effort into their picks because here's the thing I found about allocated bottles, Tony. There is no system that's going to make everyone happy. You know why? Because everybody doesn't get to walk away with all the bottles they want. You and I really want a bottle of Russell's 13. How many of them have we run across?
None.
Yeah. So yeah, I've gotten lucky a couple of times. The Lord has given me favor on a couple of interesting days where I was able to get a couple of really good bottles. But other than that, store picks have been far more enjoyable than most of them. Now, granted, WLW, different category, and but Tony, Wine, Beer, and Spirits, I think we're going to have to pay them another visit before this particular video drops. So, folks, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. God bless every last one of you. You can, of course, find me at K.O.E Nation on YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, Twitter, X as well, folks. God bless. I hope all of you make it back here happy, healthy, much the wiser. Tony, take it away.
Just another lovely private selection pick from the wonderful folks over at their Maker's Mark. And of course, Wine, Beer, and Spirits. Thank you so much for deciding on just another beautiful elixir and bottling it for us, the consumer. We thank you, and we will catch you on the next one.